Gorillaz have returned with a second brand new single for their upcoming album, The Mountain, and this single is called The Manifesto. It's got a fair amount of collaborators on it, which I've had to look up all of. The first one being Trueno, which I did have to try and look up the pronunciation. I know I'm not doing it perfectly, but that was my best go. Who is a Argentinian rapper who's apparently, you know, the sort of big rising young star known for blending old school hip hop and rap and trap and Latin rhythms. I like the part where it said Latin rhythms. I will admit a lot of the other sort of like sub-genres of hip-hop are somewhat lost on me, but it doesn't mean I don't like them. I just don't know the distinctions. Trueno is one of the larger collaborators in there. And then interestingly, we've also got a verse from the rapper Proof, who, again, I'm sorry, I did have to look up. He was an original member of the D12, so he was a big close friend with Eminem. He died in like 2006. Very sadly, obviously. Apparently he was extremely well respected. He's got a scene in 8 Mile, I think, where he sort of does a rap battle with Eminem. Apparently he just had a very, very well respected freestyle. This verse is apparently original, like sort of archived audio from, I'm assuming, Gorillaz, from Damon Albarn, even though he died in 2006. So, you know, at that point, Gorillaz are, well, you know, fairly infant still, even though I do occasionally forget just how long they've been going on for. It just kind of makes me feel old. But either way, Damon has been sitting on this archival, you know, rap verse from Proof for like 20 years almost at this point probably, and has finally found the song that is like perfect for her, which is also really cool. I like it. Apparently he's talking a lot about sort of using it as a way to sort of, you know, respect and not to forget these people. It's kind of like ties into this whole sort of like thing about kind of dealing with death and mourning that the mountain apparently is about. So to have this posthumous verse on Proof does seem like a cool idea. There's also a couple of Indian musicians who are also apparently quite big in their scenes, because obviously, like I said in my previous video, a large portion of this album was recorded in India, which is really cool, using a lot of local musicians. The daughter or granddaughter, I think it's the daughter of Ravi Shankar, features on several tracks, not this one as far as I can tell. So we do have, I'm so sorry if I mispronounced this, we've got Amaan Ali Bangash and his brother Ayaan Ali Bangash, who are both sarod players. They're apparently brothers who have been sort of like quite famous for playing together, so they're both in that, adding some sarod to it. And we've also got Ajay Prasanna, who is a bansuri, it's like a kind of bamboo in Indian flute style instrument, who's again also featuring in this one. So it's a really, really eclectic set of musicians. I love that. This is the kind of special weird creation that you get only with a band like Gorillaz, where it's just, he's got so many wells of influence. And I mean, you know, it helps he is Damon Albarn, so he can ask people to do stuff and they say yes, but still, you know, I really respect him using his pull to kind of get these really interesting compositions and musical fusions together. So the previous single was The Happy Dictator. That was the one featuring the Sparks, which I ended up really, really liking. That song is great. It's kind of joyous and sad at the same time. Again, pulls a weird combination of people out of thin air, really. To have the Sparks collaborating with Damon Albarn is a strange concept in theory, but it works really well. So I thought I'd quickly have a listen to Trueno just briefly, so I could get a bit of context for that one. So I just went on his channel and found one of the first ones that was just him, no collaborators, called Feel Me. So let me have a quick dip into Feel Me and see what this young gentleman is all about.
On the top floor of the building, flying up your love, are you feel me?
I will admit I don't hugely like the auto-tune stuff, but you know, I get it's a stylistic choice for the most part.
Baby, 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 baby.
Let's jump to the bit where it gets all hip-hoppy. Here we go, okay. Bloody hell. This video is massive, Jesus Christ. Fucking 218 million views. He's got 7 million subscribers. Bloody Nora. Let me write my pain. Okay, well, so it's a style of music that isn't really my thing. I guess I'm not a huge trap guy, but I like the Latin influences, so yeah, okay, fine. I am all primed and ready to go. Again, this one has apparently only got an official visualizer, which is fine, because the last one was actually quite interesting. People are, like, really taking the word visualizer, which to me, if someone just says that to me, I assume it's like, you know, just a looping pattern of some sort, just something moving to look at whilst the song plays, but nothing more than that. But like, I mean, the Kasabian video I just watched was a visualizer, and that song was a video, if you ask me. And the one for the Happy Dictator had live footage of the Sparks performing in it. So, I don't know, it says official visualizer, but I'm starting to get my expectations a little bit higher for stuff like that. And this is also something I've noticed recently, which I don't think I've seen up until now, is that YouTube allows you to co-upload a song. You can collaborate with the upload, which is actually a really great idea, because I feel like a lot of artists beforehand were either just letting one of them be the sole uploader, or they were diluting the views by having the same song up twice on 2 different channels. So being able to have that be the same thing and have the stats being tracked back to both people, I think is really good. I like that as a new feature. I've just noticed it. So anyway, yes, let's jump in and listen to Manifesto. Okay, nice. Starting off with the traditional engine and stuff, I guess. This is Sarad and the Bansuri. Just even from this very, very opening 20 seconds, just hearing that sort of like bass line, the sort of like quite distinctively synthy, it kind of really fits into Gorillaz' normal sound, kind of combined with the sort of Indian percussion stuff, mixed in with the Indian instruments and stuff like that, with the chorus stuff in the background. It's just so unique. I love it. Kind of got quite a plodding nature to it. I like that. It feels like one foot in front of the other. And again, this is sort of like the choral vocals in the background mixing in with all the other stuff is really, really nice. Oh, there he is. I respect a lot that he's singing in Spanish and they're not even dubbing it in English. Yeah, you know what? Represent yourself. I really rate that. Oh, here you go. Okay. That's such a weird blend of sounds, man. It's actually making my head hurt a little bit in a good way. Like, the vocals are definitely, like, indisputably Latin in feel, right? And just even the delivery, it really feels like it's of that genre. But then to have the sort of like, again, that kind of like plodding, slower nature with this almost cartoonish bass on the bong, bong, boom, bong going on there with quite a thick percussive Indian sound. Like, I really don't think I've ever heard something that sounds like this before. I also much prefer this delivery he's doing in this song. Fuck me, I've just noticed this song is 7 minutes. Is the whole thing 7 minutes? All right, strapping. But yeah, I quite like the vocal tone in this one compared to the one I looked up that was just him. I just like it more pure. He just sounds like a dude rapping from the heart, right? Rather than having to go through all of this kind of like bullshit synthesizer EQ stuff. I quite like being able to hear the sort of progression of the Indian instruments going on in the background. You can really hear the sarod players and the flute player kind of like interacting, and they're almost having a little kind of like solo battle off in the background whilst it's being rooted by, again, this very, very kind of staccato-natured sort of rhythm section. I will say, I feel like maybe this verse has gone on just a smidge too long. We're a minute 35 in. We'll see. I think it's going to start to outstay its welcome if it doesn't progress, like, I don't know, vocally a little bit more. But I do like the introduction of those backing vocals, that's nice. Okay, there you go. Okay. That's very interesting. This complicated, weird hodgepodge of sounds just got more complicated. I really like the way that the sarod stuff is like really anchoring the kind of like, I don't know, what the sort of melodic instrumentation in the background, that bam 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 ba-da-dum. It kind of, you know, it almost feels like a sort of traditional Western orchestra, but with this beautiful Indian tone to it. I really like how that's gone in there, and then just having what I feel like is probably Proof now, right? So sort of doing some of those vocals over the top. It's kind of duetting with Trueno on top of this Indian stuff. It just, God, the amalgamation of styles here is like, it's this close to not working. Right now, I think it is working. We'll have to see whether or not it maintains it the entire way through. I will say, even though I was saying I preferred his voice without the effects, that little bit at the end there, that that kind of like had some more EQ, some sort of auto-tune style stuff coming over it with some harmonies. Actually a really nice little detail. Okay, and I quite like that suddenly it all kind of fades out, and now you just got Damon doing his kind of like slightly mumble sing that I love so much, really following the, I think it's the flute he's following the melody of there. It's so mellow in comparison to the rest of it. It's kind of throwing me off. There's just, this whole thing is just moving in so many cycles. It's weird. Whatever's going on with the background here, it's like the backing is getting intensely more layered as we go. There's so many instruments going on. I can't even tell and pick out exactly what's happening, but there's a quite heavy lead line being pushed in there underneath it right now, which is nice. I feel like it brings the progression that the song needs. Otherwise, it could feel a little bit like it's just kind of like almost like a blues song, sort of passing around the same melody to different instruments you take the lead. But this is kind of establishing a new, sort of slightly thicker timbre for the next bit, mixed in with the backing vocals getting a bit more intense too. It almost reminds me, it's got like a kind of music box quality to it, you know? This sort of like the way that line kind of up and down over the course of it. It makes me think of like the Gorillaz song Sleeping Powder or something like that. It's quite, well, trancey, to be honest. Like if I had, you know, partaken in some sort of illicit mushroom and just kind of stared at a wall and listened to this, I think I'd go places. Yeah, interesting. It's like EQ is like pulling it all the way in now. A lot of the bass is being cut down, and the Damon Albarn's vocals, which were quite quiet the first time they came in, are becoming more of the focus. It's quite interesting.
Stop now, then you're never gonna be done living under your gilded sun. On the mountain.
Ooh, a trumpet.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. So we're like phasing into like a totally different section here. You had that trumpet kind of like sort of doing some final echoes of that original melody, and now I have no idea where we're going. It's kind of like almost going into a soundscape. It's very dramatic. We're gonna get the full Proof rap verse now, maybe.
Never seen a
yeah, here we go. Wow.
And killers teachers piss swang and still I reach you. Y'all ain't ready for death until I show the whole breath until
wow.
blow the one set my niggas throw up.
Oh, I like this section a lot. That trumpet blasting through now is awesome. It's giving me this proper old kind of like, you know, blues inspired backing. So like kind of big band. And to have Proof over the top of it, singing this quite gritty feeling kind of vocals to it. I mean, God, what a direction change this song has gone through. It's such a, it feels like the overture of like a film or something. I wouldn't even begin to guess at the premise of that film, but it definitely features India.
How many times I gotta prove you're not to test me? This ooze can't be deadly slugs move through your chest piece. It's all reality. Beefing with your block, got you creeping with your Glock. Now you sleeping in a box. No one can convince the invincible.
Is that like a swing movement? The 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Was the rest of it in 3, or is it just pivoted? I need to figure that one out, because it's definitely now moved into 3, and I don't think it was in 3 beforehand, which is possibly what's contributing to such a kind of like swaggery new change. Obviously, the amazing trumpeting going on in the background and sort of like riffing off is definitely adding to that, but this section is awesome. I kind of almost wish that this section was its own song, if I'm honest.
Be sensible, bits in the principle. My pistol won't miss you all. Why shouldn't I dish you, dog? I'm Leatherface. This E&J made me say your DNA's genetic waste. A medic case that'll detonate. Dirty Harry. A pathetic taste that shroom.
I wonder if that is a specific reference to the song as well as the film, because I guess if this was recorded, I don't know when the Proof verse was recorded, obviously before 2006, but I guess, yeah, the first couple of Gorillaz albums would have been out by then. When did Demon Days come out? 2005, okay. Yeah, so if that was a reference to Dirty Harry, the song, which it feels like it's too coincidental not to be like that, then this is recorded quite close to when he died.
Turn a pump into a Uzi, you chumps. Do that movie, y'all jump inside movies. Y'all scary dudes that hide behind your niggas can fight inside a squiller and die beneath a river.
I like what's going on the left too as well. Like all the percussion has dropped out, and you got some like sort of improvisey, synthy something going along there with like again these sort of like choral backing harmonies, which are really present throughout the entire thing, but they do a lot to ground this song.
Okay, all right, come on, let's go.
Yeah, it's that kind of harpsichord sound. That's what's making me think it sounds like Sleeping Powder. It's so rich. It's still a really, really weird mix of instruments going on in the background there. That kind of harpsichord style synth in the background with still a madly improvising trumpet underneath there with these quite deep synth basses. It's a really bizarre mixture, but it's very thick. It's very kind of eclectic. The pan is being worked to its absolute extreme to get that stuff to feel like it's surrounding you, and it works.
Let go, let go.
Oh, we're going to go back into the other.
Yeah,
and I think this section is in 2, actually. So there definitely was a time signature change in there when they transitioned out of this section. But I don't know why. I feel like this section feels more in keeping with it before. Maybe it's just because we've gone through the journey and we're kind of rallying back again. We've kind of got this return to the original melody, the original ideas.
Que viaje la realidad no está en venta. Sigo buscando el final del túnel. Busco esa luz que al final nos une.
Yeah, just those little details, like you get that one brief gap between, the lyrics while he's breathing, and just this little fall of synth kind of going down there. This is the kind of thing that just separates Damon Albarn from other people. It's just every possible sonic idea he can think of is being crammed in there, expertly produced.
Mentira de lo que respiran cuando no hay perfume.
Now it's kind of dropped out to have this more, wow. And now we're back to Damon. Kind of more melodic this time as well, and he's also not mimicking a sort of synth line or a trumpet line or anything in the background. This is more, I don't know, it feels like a hook if it wasn't for the fact that it's coming in for the first time at 6 minutes 23 with less than a minute of the song next to go. But yeah, no, kind of nice to have it kind of cool back and sort of mellow out after how intense it's been. The sort of like the texture is thinned out a lot as it's kind of easing off the gas. Interesting. I wonder what that's in reference to. Yeah, see, this is the kind of like soundscape I'm more accustomed to hearing when it comes to Gorillaz. Kind of like some slightly overlapping vocals there with Damon kind of talking over himself in a kind of ethereal way, and you've got nice synth lines kind of like going in there, a couple of backing vocals in it. Yeah, I don't know. This feels like the come down after like a fairly intense trip. Yeah, slap a bit of that auto-tune on there, Damon, you got this. Wow. I mean, wow really is the only thing to say after that. What the fuck did I just experience? I will say, I do think it was a little bit too long. I really liked a lot of the aspects of this song. I feel like maybe it should have been 2 songs. Maybe it's just my tiny little puny brain not being able to like fully reconcile all of the sort of influences in there being together in one thing. I think there might be just like one too many ingredients in the stew, you know, like I feel like the sort of the Latin stuff really blended quite well, like way better than I was expecting with the Indian stuff. So maybe just like that first sort of Trueno verse where it kind of like dipped in and out, and it was just a little bit more silly. You had Damon's verses kind of like following that melodic line, and then it basically fully stops, changes time signature, half of the instruments drop out, you get this trumpet, you get this kind of like big band, sort of like 3/4 styly, kind of amazing Proof verse. Like I really, really like that segment. That verse was awesome. His delivery was great. I can see why he was so respected. I love what was going on in the background. It felt so like, I don't know, I was going to say sleazy, and that's not quite right, but it definitely had this kind of like, I don't know, sort of old school bluesy charm to it, which I really, really liked. And I thought that actually transitioned really nicely out into the second bit, the 2/2 verse with Trueno's second verse. I liked a lot more, to be honest. I don't know why, but it felt more in keeping with the backing stuff, and then transition out into this kind of like Damon sort of like, you know, singing to the sky. It sort of feels like what's happening. I can just picture him on a bench somewhere, just kind of like, ooh, and doing that last bit where they all kind of overlap and there's a bit more stuff, and it kind of winds the song down. It was absolutely a journey and masterfully produced. Every single instrument that thing was perfectly placed, so cleverly produced. The people who were there, who were featuring on it, are very, very talented. Like just the sort of like different little bits of style that the sort of indie musicians were able to infuse into that were fantastic. Where they were able to sort of keep it in keeping with the sort of like the other artists that are being featured on there was very impressive. I like that aspect of it. I like the sort of storytale feel of it. You do really feel like you've gone through something afterwards. I'm just not, well, I mean, realistically, all you need to do is put a track break in the album, and my problems are basically fine. They're fixed at this point. But I can see myself wanting to go back and listen to this, and maybe I'm just too ADHD to commit to 8-minute songs that frequently, but I feel like I will find myself wanting to skip the first couple of minutes to get to that Proof verse, which if I'm driving or doing something with my hands, it means I'm more likely to just skip it rather than faffing around, scrubbing through to get to the bit I like. So this is why I prefer songs to be a little bit more broken up, at least when the albums, when they're this long. It's why maybe it's just my attention span, why I don't gravitate towards proggy stuff too much, is I'd like to be able to seek out that section more specifically, but I did still really like it. I love the direction. It's so interesting. You can't say that Damon is like, you know, retreading the same steps he's done with previous Gorillaz projects. This is wholly sounding like its own thing. A very unique, complete artwork that is definitely channeled from the soul. Some interesting collaborators. I'm still looking forward to the Idols collaboration. I'm very, like, it's going to be such a different vibe to this. So, well, I say that, but then I would have said a Proof collaboration would have been a different vibe to this, so I'm very curious to see how it all melds together. But Damon, you continue to surprise me, you continue to keep things interesting. I salute you, sir. As for you guys, let me know in the comments, what do you think? Am I just being a big baby with a short attention span for thinking the song is perhaps too long? Let me know in the comments. Let me know if you're a big Trueno or Proof fan. Maybe there's some other stuff you could recommend me to listen to. Wasn't a huge fan of that one Trueno song. I just think maybe it's just not my style, to be honest, but I'd be kind of interested to hear some of the sort of like more famous Proof stuff. So if anyone's got some recommendations for me in the comments, let me know. Thank you very much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, all that crazy stuff. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace!